Good to go, huh? All right, this is the meeting of Fall River Planning Board. It's June 9th, 2021, 5:30 p.m. We are going to have a roll call of those that are participating remotely. Mario Luciola.
Yeah.
That's not here yet. Gloria Pacheco.
I'm here.
Oh, great. Hi.
Hi,
Beth Andre
present.
and John Ferrera. I'm Cynthia Savigny. Okay, we'll read that. Pursuant to the open meeting law, any person may make an audio or video recording of this public meeting or may transmit the meeting through any medium. Attendees are therefore advised that such recordings or transmissions are being made, whether perceived or unperceived, by those present and are deemed acknowledged and permissible. We also have today from Fall River Government TV, Alex Mello. We have William Kenny, the city planner, and Christina Sylvia is the head clerk in the planning department. I think that's got everything. And we are going to take the new business first, the repetitive petition. And first we will open a public hearing on the repetitive petition, owner applicant, 150 Forest Street Trust. The location 146, 148, 150 Purchase Street, assesses map N-8 lots 48 and 49. And now, Bill, do you want me to read this?
Well, I think we've announced the issue, and I think that the remarks that the proponent, Mr. Aguirre, will make will be sufficient. I don't think you have to read the paragraph that is in the agenda.
Hear anything. We all set?
Cindy,
Cindy, are you ready for the presentation?
Not quite yet.
Okay.
Prior to the presentation of Dan Aguirre, I just want to make a note that we did receive correspondence from the Preservation Society of Fall River Incorporated on this. And after Dan Aguirre's presentation, I will read it. Okay, Dan, go.
Great. Thank you. I'm going to share the plan so you guys can be looking at it while I'm talking. So hopefully that will help you a little bit. Everybody can see that?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Good evening. My name is Dan Aguirre. I'm a senior project manager at SciTech CEC with addresses at 10 Purchase Street, Fall River, 449 Points Corner Road in Dartmouth, Massachusetts as well. Here this evening on behalf of the applicant, 150 Forest Street Trust, who is the landowner of this real estate comprised of two separate parcels. Back in June 22nd of 2020, if you're not speaking, could you please turn your mic off? Back on June 22nd, 2020, the applicant was denied a special permit request that was filed with the Zoning Board of Appeals. That application proposed the subdivision of this parcel into 3 parcels, leaving an existing mixed-use building on 1 parcel, an existing 2-family dwelling on a second, and the proposal of the construction of a 3-unit apartment building along Purchase Street. After opposition that was received from the property owner, who was the Preservation Society at 263, let's see, is it the Bank Pine, sorry, in this location. After opposition from the Preservation Society, the board found that they could not grant this relief without substantial detriment to the public good. So the owner of the property was able to communicate with the Preservation Society and put together a new proposal, which I'm assuming that the letter that they submitted is in support, but we'll wait to hear from that. And what the new proposal is to subdivide this parcel into 4 pieces, leaving an existing mixed-use building on what you see as parcel 1, which would be here. An existing 2-unit apartment building would fall on parcel 2. Parcel 3, where there is an existing garage, would be cut out and conveyed to the Preservation Society, giving them use and ownership of parcel 3, the garage, as well as these other 2 off-street parking spaces. And then lastly, parcel 4, where we had proposed a 3-unit building that was turned a little bit differently and encroached into the rear of this parking area. We have now proposed a 2-unit building. So I think it's clear that this proposal is substantially different than the previous proposal, for the purposes of which it was denied. The fact that we've reduced the number of units in this proposed apartment building by 1, and we've been able to work with the Preservation Society to garner their support with regards to the acquisition of that parcel 3. Again, it's very important that under the repetitive petition guidelines, that the board understands, and I know most of you do, but I do want to make sure everybody's up to snuff. You are not approving this project. All you are doing is making a determination that this proposal is substantially different than the proposal that was denied originally by the Zoning Board of Appeals. So I believe that it's fairly straightforward that they are 2 separate and different proposals, substantially different from each other. And we would ask that the board allow us to refile with the Zoning Board of Appeals so that we can move this project forward. We can convey the garage in parcel 3 to the Preservation Society, and the applicant can build the 2-unit apartment building along Purchase Street as shown. That's all. If you have any specific questions, I'd be more than glad to answer them.
Any board members have any questions of Mr. Aguirre?
No, not at this time.
No.
Mr. Aguirre, Mario.
Yes, Mario?
So just briefly, I read this and I read it and look on the map, look the new national. I see a very substantial material change.
Yes.
So, but leave it to any other board without any question before I go further.
I
Any
agree
other
with Mario. I agree with Mario as well on the substantial change.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I'm having a little bit of problem to hear everyone very clear, but that's fine. I'll try to handle it possible as I can. If there's no other question from the board, I will make a motion to accept the material exchange and number, which will be 150 Forest Street, number 8, lot 4849, and will be 146, 148, 150 Purchase Street. I'll make a motion to accept.
Madam
Can I
Chair.
just interject?
And before,
Go
before you
ahead, Bill. I was
further
going to say
that?
the same thing.
We should have opportunity for public hearing, comment, public comment, plus that letter from the Preservation
Yes.
Society.
correct.
So the motion's on the table for now, and after we're through with that, we should actually first move to close the public hearing after you've taken the testimony.
Want me to retrieve my motion?
I think if you don't mind, if you just take it back for now
I will
Just
take
take
it
it
back,
back.
yes.
and say, I'm sorry.
Bill,
Sorry,
should I receive?
so sorry.
Should I? Bill,
Yes,
should I read letter from the Preservation Society prior to closing the hearing?
Yeah, I think you should.
Yeah,
Yes.
I agree. Okay. And it's from the Preservation Society of Fall River and Jim Scholl, the president. It's to the members of the planning board. With respect to the special permit for the property located at 146, 148, 150 Purchase Street, the Preservation Society of Fall River offers this letter in support of the revised application to allow the subdivision of the land into 4 parcels. As a property abutter at 263 Pine Street, the Preservation Society initially raised concerns with neighborhood density and parking in the original request, which was denied by the planning board on June 22nd, 2020. Following the decision, the Preservation Society discussed its concerns with the property owner to explore possible compromises that could reflect the best interest of all. As a result, the property owner altered the original plan, reducing the density of any new construction and alleviating concerns with parking by further subdividing the lot and creating an easement for off-street parking. It is with these alterations in mind that the Preservation Society of Fall River updates its previous opinion on the special permit application to one of support. So that's our letter which we received today. And I'd like a motion to accept it and place it on file.
I'll motion to accept and place on file.
I second the motion.
So I will do a roll call vote. And Mario Luciola,
Yes,
Beth Andrade,
Yes,
Gloria Pacheco,
Yes,
John Ferrera,
Yes.
Cynthia Savigny. I vote yes, that will be placed on file. Now, if there is any other comments relating to this matter? No more comments or questions from board members? Then we will vote to close the public hearing. Do I have a vote to close the public hearing?
I make a motion, we close the public hearing?
I'll second.
I will do a roll call vote once again. Mario Luciola,
Yes,
Elizabeth Andrade,
yes,
Gloria Pacheco,
yes,
John Ferrera.
Yes.
I'm Cynthia Savigny. I also vote yes. And now we will do a separate vote on whether to approve this matter. And Mario, I believe that you have a motion. Mario?
I will remit the motion, the previous motion to stand.
And Mario, just to clarify, is your motion that there should be a finding that there are specific and material changes and conditions upon which the denial was issued previously?
I apologize, I couldn't hear, so I'll have somebody else to make the motion, please.
Okay, we
I'm
just
having
have to
trouble with
make a, we just have to have the record reflect that a finding was made that there were specific, or that there have been specific and material changes in the conditions upon which the denial was originally issued by the ZBA.
Okay,
I'll make that motion that there is substantial change.
And to forward this back to the zoning
And to
board.
forward it back to the zoning board, correct?
Do I have a second on that motion?
I'll second.
second,
We'll do a roll call. Mario Luciola,
Yes,
Elizabeth Andrade,
yes,
Gloria Pacheco,
yes,
John Ferrera,
Yes.
and I'm Cynthia Savigny. I vote yes. And now we have, so I put all of this away. another repetitive petition. And so we will open a public hearing on the next repetitive petition. Owner applicant CASA LLC, location 2501 South Main Street. And the assessors map is B2 Lot 12. And I'm sure that Dan Agia has plenty to tell us on this.
I do, thank you. Again, for the record, Dan Aguirre, SciTech CEC. And I'm going to reshare that because I had to turn my mic back on. Let's get that back up there. So again, similarly, we are before the planning board this evening, asking for them to make a determination that this proposed plan, revised plan, is substantially different than the previously denied plan. So in March 18th of 2021, the applicant was denied zoning relief, allowing the subdivision of the parcel into two parcels, leaving an existing school building on one parcel, converting it into a self-storage facility, while constructing 8 new duplex townhouses and converting an existing building into 5 apartment units on the second parcel. The board found that relief could not be granted without substantial detriment to the public good and without substantially derogating from the intent of the zoning bylaw. So when we were done with the zoning board of appeals back in March, I sat and I met with the property owner, and after having some discussions with the planner and other municipal agencies, we've been able to put together this new proposal. And what this does is, rather than having multiple mixed uses on the site, where before this building that you see shaded in pink was to be converted to a self-storage building, this existing building that I'm circling here that runs along Summit, that's the one that was supposed to be converted into an apartment building. And we were going to construct 8 duplexes on top of that. So what this petition does is it proposes to renovate the existing front structure. And instead of it being for self-storage purposes, we have now proposed a 40-unit apartment building, which the residential use would be more in compliance with the residential use that's currently occupying this neighborhood, not a commercial use, which would have been the self-storage facility. Part 2 of our proposal, this other building that was going to be retrofitted into an apartment building will now be raised. What that means is that it will be removed from the site and demolished. And we are proposing also now to construct 8 duplex townhouses that you see shown here in this configuration. What this has been allowed us to do is, by removing this building, it's allowed us to put together a better layout with better spacing for these units. So my proposal to the board, and my opinion, is that alone with the change in use of this building from a proposed self-storage facility to a 40-unit apartment building would be substantial in itself. On top of that, again, we were going to be raising this building. So where we were starting with 3 distinct different uses on the property under the first application, we will now only have 2, this apartment building and this duplex use as well. So I think it's rather clear that we've made material and substantial changes for the reasons that it was initially denied, and we ask for a positive determination so that we may refile with the Zoning Board of Appeals. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, I'd be more than glad to answer them.
Board, do we have any comments or questions? Board members?
No, not at this time.
No. Public? No.
Yes,
Yes?
yes. I have a question. Actually, I've got a few questions. One, they're planning on building on a granite ledge.
Do we have a name and address for this individual?
Yes, sir. My name is John Zach. I live at 2527 South Main.
Thank you. Did you get that, Christine? Okay.
Yes, John, continue. Say
Yes,
that again.
the apartment buildings they plan on putting in, is that low income or is that condominiums or what is that?
You want me to answer one at a time, Cindy?
Yes,
Yes. It has not been determined yet whether they'll be sold as condominiums or as rentals. That, again, what you need to understand, sir, is that this board is not making a determination on the merits of this project or whether or not they think it's a good idea or that it should be approved. They're only making the determination and the narrow scope of that this proposal is substantially different than the previous proposal. So their scope of what they are to review and answer questions with regards to is very limited. But whatever questions you would like to ask, I will do my best to answer them.
I see. Well, you are, I understand that you, with this many units, I'm more questioning, since we live at the second highest point in the city, I'm worried about water pressure. And again, I understand that we're not here to question that or whatever for the city due to the fact that it is, but I am concerned regarding water pressure around in the home.
Okay, so what happens with a project is there are multiple levels of permitting. We would first come to this board, who takes a peripheral view just with regards to zoning. The Zoning Board of Appeals, when they hear it, very similarly, the scope of what they're dealing with is with regards to zoning. If it gets through those two boards, we then need to file what's called site plan review. And that's when it goes to the planning board, the water department, the building department. And that's where issues like water, sewage, drainage, all of those things get reviewed by different municipality agencies. They review, comment, we go back and forth. They ask us to change this and change that. So I am sure that the water department, if there is an issue, is well aware of it in this area. And they will ensure that we do not create a detriment to any of the neighboring properties. And you may find out at the end of the project that what we're being required to do may improve water circulation for that end of the city as a whole. But that's really 3 permits away from where we're at now.
Now, do we get notified when these permits come around?
If what you can do is you can request to be notified. If you request from the planning board office that when site plan review is filed, you can absolutely send in a letter now to the planning board referencing site plan review of this project with your concerns. You don't need to wait for us to file to have a letter of concern submitted to planning or to the water department or to anyone. It'll be in the file once we submit, so they'll be well aware of your concerns. But you can also ask to be notified once that paperwork has been filed. It is not a public hearing process, but by all means, as an abutter, you have every right to review the information and offer comment to the city.
Okay, and that's the site planning board, you said?
Yeah, it'll be the planning board, so this same board or this same department, the planning department, but that would be the site plan review process. So if you were to call that office and speak with Mr. Kenny or Christine Sylvia, who's here this evening, I'm sure that they could take your information and make sure that you're notified of the site plan review process. We're probably 4 or 5 months away from that, even filing it. But again, it would not hurt to have your letters of concern on record prior to that.
Okay, I'd like to do so. And if that's all it takes, I will send a letter of review.
Yeah, so I mean, in that way, I mean, I'm assuming if there is an issue, the water department knows about it. And they will make us, make some improvements both to our site, and if there's off-site improvements that need to be made, they'll make this developer do that as well.
Okay, I understand now.
Could I
Second.
ask, is the gentleman in a butter that received notice, if this gets back to the ZBA?
Yes, he will. 'Cause I remember he did speak at the zoning board of appeals hearing as well, Bill. I believe he's directly across the street on Summit.
Okay, so he'll be notified if there is another hearing before the zoning board, he'll get notice.
Absolutely. The same way that he was notified for this one.
Is there any other questions from board members or the public? Yes. Your name, please? I cannot hear you. Can anyone hear this gentleman?
No,
Mr. Dupree? I can't hear you.
Mr. Dupuy, I believe your microphone is off.
should be okay.
All right, can you hear me
There
now?
you
Yes, your
Can you hear
name
me?
and address. Yes, your
Oh.
name and address, please, for the record.
Yes, my name is Gerald Dupuy. I live at 561 Summit Street, Fall River. I own the property. Now I can't hear you. I do have a few concerns as well, but one of my, sorry?
No, go ahead.
Oh, like John up the street here, I have concerns with ledge, I have concerns with water, I have concerns with the type of buildings going up. But one of my biggest concerns is the amount of time that was given, notified of this meeting and why it isn't a public meeting. It was very difficult to log on. A lot of my neighbors are concerned, and I don't think they would have the means to get into a Zoom meeting as such. Will it be a public hearing at all at any point in this construction process or appeals process?
So I can answer this for you, Cindy. So this is a
Yes.
public hearing. Again, very narrow in scope with what's to be reviewed and discussed. There will be another public hearing with the zoning board of appeals. And I believe that those will now be in person. There'll be no more Zoom meetings for next month.
Yeah.
So any abutter will have
Okay.
the ability to appear at the zoning board of appeals meeting and voice their concerns, if that answers your question, Gerald.
Yeah, I mean, that's correct. I have macular degeneration. I had a very, very hard time figuring that out. Like 100 letters to type in. I could barely read with glasses on. So I know it was difficult for me, and I have a lot of older neighbors I spoke to, and I don't even think they would bother. They're older. I'm not even sure they have computers. So we'll be notified of another hearing.
That's correct. And my guess is we probably will not make, well, we may make it because the filing deadline is not until the 20th of this month. The next zoning board of appeals meeting would be July, is it 18th, Christine? It's always that third Thursday.
Okay.
So they meet once a month.
17th, June 17th is the next zoning board.
Next zoning boards, yeah. Well, right, so July's meeting, we may be on, so
July 15th.
The
July
15th, it will be the 15th.
you will receive notification again, just like you did, written notification. This time it'll just say that the meeting will be at City Hall and what room it's in. It will not say that it's being held via Zoom.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Are we all set with the questions and comments? Then I'd like to take a vote to close the public hearing.
I'd like to make a motion that we forward this
Excuse me.
back to,
Excuse me. Yes, hi. Yes, this is Nancy, and I live at 541 Summit Street, right across from where one of the openings to the townhouse parking lot will be open, like almost right directly across from my driveway. My concern is, what is the parking for this going to be like? Is there going to be ample parking on the contained with on the right side of Summit Street? you know, are they all going to be parking on both sides of Summit Street? That's a problem we had with the Atlantis Charter School. Even though we have a wide street, you'd be surprised when the winter comes. It can be very difficult getting up and down this hill because this is the only way to get into Summit Street or to leave Summit Street when the snow is bad. And they do a good job of plowing, but sometimes it's still a struggle to get up the street or into the street, is the entrance to Summit off of South Main. Because if you try to go out the other way, there are hills that lead down to Bay Street, and you go for a nice sled ride. So that I'm just concerned, you know, with because everybody, you know, every family now, they've all got about 5 cars apiece. You know, it no longer is it 1 car per family. So I'm just wondering, you know, what the parking situation will be with all these apartments, the 40 or whatever at the top of the street, and then all the.
Sure. So what I can offer is, although that's again not in the scope of what's being reviewed tonight, it will be something that you should raise the concern at zoning if you do have the concern. But the apartment buildings, the townhouse buildings have been proposed with the creation of 2 off-street parking spaces for each dwelling. Now, again, these are smaller units. There would be a garage space and then a parking space in front of that. That meets the zoning requirements for 2 parking spaces per residential dwelling.
Right.
The apartment buildings, when we deal with apartment buildings, and we deal with them very often in the city, we are proposing parking at a rate of 1.5 spaces per unit. A lot of these will be 1-bedroom apartments, and having 1 to 1.5 spaces per unit is ample parking. So we have proposed off-street parking in that manner. And again, that is an item or a point of concern that you can raise with the Zoning Board of Appeals.
Okay, thank you very much. That is all.
Christine, did you get this lady's name? Christine?
Can she just repeat her last name for the record? I have Nancy.
Copeland,
Thank you.
welcome.
Okay, very good. Any other concerns, questions? Okay, then we'll take a vote to close the public hearing.
I want to make a motion that we close the public hearing and also resubmit this back to zoning with a substantial change in place.
Okay, John, we're going to make this into 2 separate votes. One to close the public hearing
I make
and
a mo-
one to vote on it.
I make a motion, we close the public meeting.
And do I have a second?
I'll second that. This is Beth.
I bet. We're going to take a roll call. Mario Luciola,
Yes,
Elizabeth Andrade,
Yes.
Gloria Pacheco,
Yes.
John Ferrera.
Yes.
I'm Cynthia Savigny. I vote yes. And now we'll have a vote on whether to approve the matter and to refer it to the zoning board. And John,
Yes, I'll make that motion to refer back to zoning with a substantial change in place.
I second the motion.
and we will have a roll call vote. Mario Luciola,
yes,
Beth Andrade,
Yes.
Gloria Pacheco,
Yes.
John Ferrera,
Yes.
I'm Cynthia Savigny, and I also vote yes. Oh,
Thank you all very much.
You're welcome. Anything else before you, Dan?
Well, I was going to ask Bill if he needs me on for Courtney Street. I have not been involved in the roadway agreement stuff, but if he wanted me to stay on for some reason or another, I could. And I don't believe any of the A&R stuff I'm needed for, but if Bill wanted me to stay on, I could.
No, I think you should have the rest of the night off. We got to.
I appreciate it. And it's still sunlight out. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Very good.
You guys
Thank
have a
you.
good night. Bye.
You too.
Okay, and having done that, we are going to go back to the old business. Courtney Street roadway improvements. And consideration of proposed improvement plan for Courtney Street as described in a plan entitled Roadway Improvement Plan prepared for Bristol Pacific Homes by SciTech, dated February 3rd, 2021, as set forth in the proposed roadway agreement by and among City of Fall River, Bristol Pacific Homes Incorporated, Stein Realty and Development Corporation, and this was tabled from our May 12th, 2021 meeting. Okay. And we have a copy of the Courtney Street Improvement Agreement. And Bill, I hope you can shorten this up a bit.
I was going to ask you to read the whole agreement into the record. Would you like to do that?
Sure, if you want it, I will. All
So-
12 pages.
If you start doing that, I think I'll go on break for a little while.
I can make myself an
Okay.
espresso.
So this is an agreement that, I don't know if there's any lawyers in Fall River that have not been involved in looking at this. I'd be surprised. I guess Gloria hasn't looked at it, but she's seen it now. The approval that you folks gave to the Form C subdivision plan for Highland Farms Part 2, which you voted on, several months ago, had some contingencies that applied such that the chair is not authorized to sign to endorse the final Mylar until certain things happen. And the execution of the Courtney Street Improvement Plan is one of those things. And it's been extensively negotiated and reviewed all the way from the mayor's office, the corporation counsel, to Matt Thomas, to me, to 2 or 3 private attorneys on behalf of the developers. And we have arrived at this plan. Basically, the reason that we even care about Courtney Street is because Highland Farms 2 is going to involve connecting Courtney Street to the existing Highland Farms 1 via an extension of Hayfield Road, and there'll be some cul-de-sacs off of that, as you may remember from the original Form C plan. And when we originally went out and looked at Courtney Street, the feeling was that it really needed to be improved. It really was not adequate to accommodate the new traffic that might be expected from it being attached to Highland Farms 1 and 2. So the discussion and debate back and forth over a period of time was what improvements need to be made. And once the improvements are made, who's going to maintain and take care of the street over its life? So as you read it, I'm sure you saw the sections that pertain to sidewalk being put in, to expanding the width of the street up to a certain point, doing some engineering at the entrance from Highland Avenue onto Courtney Street to enhance the safety of that entranceway. And also, those are the general improvements that have been agreed upon. And also the question of who's going to pay for these things. And the developer is going to pay for the improvements, which include the proper condition of the surface of the roadway. And also for the engineering work that's going to have to be done to make it possible for the city to undertake an eminent domain taking of the roadway, so that in simple language, the developer is going to build the street the way we want it, and then we're going to take title to it so that forever and ever afterwards, the neighborhood can be assured that the city is going to maintain and repair the street in the long haul. I think that's the essence of it. I think it's a good agreement. It protects the city. That makes it possible for the developer to start some work up there. The mayor has signed it. The developers have signed it. I don't know who else has signed it, but they're welcome to. But we need your signature. We need the planning board to endorse this and agree that it's proper and to execute it. That's what I recommend that you do. And if you have any questions, I'm here to answer them.
Bill, I see on page 9 of this agreement where it has the signatures of the planning board, it lists all of the planning board members.
Yes,
So every member should sign
want-
this?
yes, that would be the appropriate action to take. Yep.
Okay. All right,
And
any questions on
provide-
this, board?
We'll provide the pens.
Okay. Any questions?
My
Board members?
question is for Bill. Very proud of you and your help that you had, but I think you have to do it alone again.
Thanks.
No, I read this, and believe me, I read this because you know me and Courtney Street, and I think my compliment to you and your colleague that great job, super job.
Thank
and
you.
spe-
Thank you.
Especially the maintenance of the street and the acceptance from the city. So it's a great deal, finally.
It took a while. I'm sorry it took so long, but there were a lot of people with a lot of strong opinions involved on both sides of this. And I
Yeah,
think we've reached a fair result.
I don't know, I'll leave it to the other planning, friends, planning, for their one, any other comment.
Any comments from the board?
No,
Wow, silent.
Okay. And out of
No.
silence, yes, well.
I
we
suppose
would
the
need a-
motion would be in order to accept and approve the Courtney Street Improvement Agreement and to authorize all the members to sign.
To sign it, yes. Do someone want to make that vote?
I'll make that motion to all the
Motion.
members to be signed the Corton Street roadway improvement. Is that correct?
Courtney Street Improvement Plan, yes. And just Highland Farms to Form 6. Do I have a second on this?
I'll second
I'll
that.
second that. Well,
John, you
We'll do a
can.
roll-
Beth had it, it's hers.
Okay, we're going to do a roll call vote. Mario Luciola,
Yes,
Beth Andre,
Yes,
Gloria Pacheco,
Yes.
John Ferrera.
Yes.
I'm Cynthia Savigny. I vote yes. Okay, so finally, that one's done.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Item number 2 under old business is Lexington Estate subdivision. And we're going to have a status report by the city planner regarding the work remaining to be completed at Lexington Estates, which was tabled from the May 12th meeting.
Happy to report that progress is being made at Lexington Estates. If, I don't know if you have in mind what the site plan for this project looks like, but there's a big loop of Omaha and Detroit Street and a little stub off of that for a little cul-de-sac in the middle of it. A portion of the property fronting about 7 lots has never been constructed. The street's never actually been built up to standard. The rest of the street within the main part of the subdivision and the cul-de-sac have now received their leveling course, which probably John Ferrera knows what that means. And it's a good thing that that's been done. And the next stage is for them to do some work on the manhole covers and leveling and straightening out and fixing broken fixtures. And so progress is being made. Happy to report. It's been since 2004. And it's taken this administration to move this thing along, and I'm happy to be a part of that. Another thing that we discovered was the section of let me see, Detroit Street, and this really has to do with item 03, that
That's right.
there was an issue about the responsibility for the section of Detroit Street that leads from Stevens Street into the bulk of the subdivision. And I had originally been told, a year or so ago, that that was not part of the subdivision, that Mr. Kafori was not responsible for it, and that it was really the city's responsibility. And I was also told that the city had never accepted that section, so they needed to do that in order to go forward and do the proper paving. Well, it turns out Christopher J. Gallagher, the late departed, not departed this earth, but departed City Hall and city engineer, happened to find on the plan something that the rest of us had overlooked, which actually requires Mr. Kafori to be responsible for that little stretch of the street leading from Stevens. So he's been notified of that. He's accepted responsibility for that. And he's told us that he's going to put a skim coat of asphalt on there. And that's a temporary measure. I guess the street's in really bad shape. We've had a lot of neighbors complain about it. And the skim coat will be a stopgap measure to pave it over, to fill up some of the potholes, and to fix it up a little bit better, pending his actually going in and milling and overlaying it, which is also going to be required to be done in the next couple of months. As far as the street acceptance, so that really ends my report on 02. As far as 03, that's the issue of the referral from the city council as to whether we recommend that stretch of road be accepted. And on his way out the door, Christopher J. Gallagher said that he thought that it already had been. So we're trying to get to the bottom of that. If it's already been accepted once, there's not much point in doing it again. I don't think. And so if you would just kindly table that one more month. And now that the Courtney Street improvement agreement's off of my table, I have some time to look at some other things. And we'll get to the bottom of this question of whether the street has actually been accepted or not. So short answer, 02, progress is being made. Please table it to the next meeting for further update. And 03, please table so that we can research the status of that street and report back next month.
I make a
Do
motion,
I have a motion? Yes, go ahead. Gloria?
I make a motion we table 02 Lexington Estates subdivision to next month.
Second,
We'll do a roll call. Mario Luciola,
Yes,
Beth Andrade,
Yes.
Gloria Pacheco,
Yes.
John Ferrera.
yes.
I'm Cynthia Savigny. Vote yes. And 03, do I have a motion?
I
On
make,
the street acceptance, the Detroit Street extension, to table this matter to the next meeting of the board, which will be on July the 14th.
I'll motion to table.
And hopefully in person. Motion to table has been made. Do I have a second?
I second.
We'll have a roll call. Mario Luciola,
yes,
Elizabeth Andrade,
Yes.
Gloria Pacheco,
Yes.
John Ferrera.
Yes.
I'm Cynthia Savigny. I vote yes as well. Okay, so we have, that's the end of our old business.
Mrs. Chairman, if I
And-
may,
Yes,
I just want to thank Bill Kenny for staying on top of this with everything that he's got on his plate. I know that this has been going on for 16, whatever years.
Yeah.
And I know.
What's the
we
rush,
mentioned-
right?
Yeah, I mean, why rush now? But I just want to thank him for staying on top of it with everything else that he's got on his plate as well.
Appreciate the
that-
sentiment. Thank you very much for the pat on the back. And Christine
I'm
as
with
well
you,
gets-
John, so you deserve
Christine
it.
should get a pat on the back as well, and Brittany and Patty. We've all had our share of this effort and do
All right,
every
I'll
day.
extend-
still
I'll
do.
extend all four pats.
No, it, all did a good job. Thank you. Okay, and moving on, we're on number 2. Review and acceptance of a new letter of credit for Highland Farms 1 subdivision and consideration of reducing required face amount of same. Bill, do you have any comment on this?
Yeah, let me just find that file. Yeah. This has to do with the Highland Farms 1, Phase 1, which is 99% completed. And the situation is that we have to do the closeout procedure. We've got to go out there with our checklists and make sure that all the i's are dotted and all the t's are crossed so that we can release their letter of credit. It turned out that the letter of credit that we had was expiring, I think at the end of last month, before the checklist items had all been accomplished. So I got the proponents of the project to issue a new letter of credit from Bank 5. And this has just been extended through, let me see, try and tell you the extended date. Through December of this year. And that gives us plenty of time, we think, to wrap this up. And hopefully it'll be wrapped up a lot sooner than that. And in the meantime, the face amount of this letter of credit is the same as it was. In other words, we had them extend it to the end of the calendar year at the same face amount, which is $207,180. And the reality is that that's way in excess of what's necessary to mop this thing up and to close it out. So I've discussed this with Bristol Pacific and with the folks in City Hall, particularly Paul Furland. And they were hoping that we would agree tonight to reduce the face amount of the letter because they've got to move forward and get a letter of credit and some other surety in connection with Phase 2. And so as you can imagine, the banks don't want excessive liability hanging out there, only what's really reasonably necessary. And what we've decided is that we're going to recommend to you tonight that you authorize a reduction in the face amount of this down to $75,000. And they wanted it really reduced to about $30,000, but our judgment was that it would be the city being a lot better protected if we settled on a $75,000 figure. So that's up to you. But I would recommend that you accept the extended letter, which is good through December 31st, but authorize a reduction in the face amount to $75,000.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Bill, do you think the work is going to be done by year end? Is December?
Yeah, it will be. I've looked at the checklist today, and it's relatively minor things that have to be done. Well, to the extent that $75,000 is minor, it's not minor to most of us.
All right.
but,
You know how it is. Like it's already June. You know. By
yeah,
the time we
and,
turn
but
around,
the good thing about this letter is, unlike some of the others that have been used historically, this one automatically renews. So that they're on the hook until we dismiss it. And we're not going to recommend that you dismiss it until everything is done. And the $75,000 is considered adequate. If Bristol Pacific fell off the face of the earth and didn't do another thing out there, the $75,000 would more than cover what would have to be done by the city to finish this up if they didn't.
So I'm sorry, it's probably getting late in the day. This letter of credit automatically renews itself?
Yeah, pretty neat, huh? Yeah. A lot of them just had expiration dates. And so
Yeah.
this one I said, no, we want this to be automatically renewed so that we don't have to worry about it and come up to, Monday of a week and say, oh boy, the letter of credit expires Friday and the work hasn't been done. What are we going to do? And we'll call
Right.
them up and they'll say, well, our banker's in Hawaii for a couple of
Yeah,
months.
yeah,
And,
yeah.
yeah, it's
don't know.
automatically it extends unless the bank gives us notice in writing 60 days in advance that it's going to be terminated.
I don't know the details that you mentioned. You did review the, what's outstanding. This is a large project, and
Yeah.
because it is such a large project, and, Bristol Pacific is really invested in the area. So I think they are gonna perform everything because they have, section 2 coming up.
That's right.
But based on what I know, I would prefer to do $100,000 letter of credit until like the end of maybe June 30th, 2022, just so that we're not back here in 6 or 7 months trying to renegotiate something. As everyone knows on the board, the prices of materials and labor have almost doubled. So I think 6 months may not be enough time. I would feel more comfortable with $100,000 and giving them 12 months to complete it. Those are my thoughts, but I know Bill has more details on the project. So any input you can give me, other members of the board, I'm open to it. Thank you.
Yeah, no, appreciate the thought of my thought is that they also want to get going on the second phase. And if there is any difficulty with them completing the work on the first phase, they're going to find the city not very receptive to moving forward with permits and such that would be necessary for the next phase. So we still have considerable leverage on this. They're going to have to go through site plan review on all of the lots for the new phase. And, if this thing is lagging, if they're not attentive to phase 1, then we're not going to be too attentive to finishing up those site plan reviews for phase 2. So we're in a good position on that. And I do think that we don't want to set the bar so high that they have difficulty getting their letters of credit for the next phase, which is going to really be 3 items. It's going to be the Courtney Street will have a letter of credit of some kind. And as far as phase 2, part of that's going to be worked on by Bristol Pacific and part of it by Ken Steen's company. And so there's 2 separate letters there. Well, that's my recommendation, 75,000.
Yeah,
And I think
again,
that
I
covers it.
find that we should give them, I don't want to hold back phase 2 because we have a light that's missing on phase 1. I don't want to do that to them. The developers, they're here to develop the city and
Right,
make a little
right.
bit of money along the way. I just don't want to, we have this problem with Mr. Kafori where he had 2 different entities doing 2 different developments and he was lax on one. And I didn't think it was legally fair to hold back the other entity or a trust, whatever it was. So again, I don't want to hold back phase 2. I just want to the owner of Highland Farms, Bristol Pacific, to comply and get phase 1 done, finished. I expect them to concurrently develop phase 2. And I don't want to hold them back from phase 2, but I would like assurances that phase 1 is going to be done. Again, knowing the price of labor and materials, I think 6 months finishing phase 1 may be not enough time for them. I don't want them to fail. I want them to succeed. And I don't know if 75 is enough. I'd probably feel more comfortable with 100. But that's my final thoughts. Thank you.
Do I have any comments from the board members? Board members, do we want to consider changing
Oh, just,
the amount?
Bill,
Excuse
Mario,
me? Mario, yes.
Bill, just, for Clarence, are you as well the whoever's involved between this letter B reduction to 75,000? Were you comfortable with it?
I'm sorry, was that addressed to
I
me?
didn't.
No, I mentioned the review of this acceptance of the letter to credit for Highland Farm. The 75,000 will cover any expenses. There has to be any repair. These people will not fill in their duty to do it.
Yeah, that's our best estimate. I think it's adequate to protect the city.
Okay.
Gloria would feel more comfortable with 100,000. So I mean, that's for you guys to make a judgment.
At this point right now, yes, we do, yes, we don't. So, but anyhow, I will make a motion to accept the letter credit and reduce to the amount of 75,000. Is that correct? If I hear everything properly?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll make a motion then to accept it.
Do I have a second to that motion?
I'll second that.
I'm gonna have a roll call vote. Mario Luciola,
Yes,
Elizabeth Andrade,
Yes.
Gloria Pacheco. Yes, sorry, I didn't hear
Sorry,
that.
I forgot to unmute. Yes.
Okay, John Ferrera. Cynthia.
Yes, I
Sevigny.
did the same thing as Gloria.
I know, you hit the.
not falling asleep, are you?
I'm still in the
Okay.
parking lot of, on the Newport Creamery.
Uh-oh. Get
Hope
an
you got
ice
something
cream.
to eat.
Go run in there and get us something to drink. Yeah, nice. Okay, so we are now on item number 3. We have quite a few. Form A, applications for endorsement of plans believed not to require approval. And I'm going to get my plans. Okay. First item is, item A is file number 21-1501. Owner applicant is St. Anne's Credit Union, Joseph and Lynn Oliveira. Property is located at 910 and 888 Pleasant Street. Assessors map KO2, lot 06, and KO2, lot 02. Bill?
Thank you. This is just a simple adjustment of an internal lot line within these parcels. And there are no issues presented that would cause a problem. So I recommend that you direct the chair to endorse this approval, not required under the subdivision control law.
Do I have a motion?
I make a motion that we approve the A&R as presented.
I second the motion.
And we'll do a roll call. Mario Luciola,
Yes,
Beth Andre,
Yes.
Gloria Pacheco,
Yes.
John Ferrera,
Yes.
I'm Cynthia Sevigny. I vote yes. Item B, file number 21-1502, owner applicant Gary L. Rigo. Property is located 1138-1140 and 1142-1144 Plymouth Avenue. Assessors map F25, lot 26. Bill?
This is a subdivision that's being allowed by the issuance of a special permit. And it's been properly recorded at the registry. The only thing is that the permit issued by the Zoning Board of Appeals required that some cross easements be established to make sure that the resulting parcels each had appropriate access. The plan as presented does not show that. So our office spoke with Attorney Levin, who represents the proponents on this, and he agreed that he would modify the plan to show the easements, but he would not have it available for today. So one thing we could do on this is, I mean, there are not going to be any A&R issues. It's going to be, it's approvable. It's just that the plan doesn't show what the zoning board intended it to show in terms of easements for access between the parcels. So what you could do is authorize the endorsement of the plan, approval not required under the subdivision control law, but that would be subject to the receipt of the corrected Mylar showing the cross easements. So I think that would make sense, rather than denying it and making them file it again. It's just to move things along. If that makes sense.
Bill, we couldn't just table this till the next meeting?
Well, if you just table it, technically, there's a 21-day period. My brain is foggy on that, but we don't want it to be constructively approved. If you don't take any action, even by tabling it, you're not acting. You've got to act within a certain number of days, or else it's constructively approved without the board's signature. So that's why I'm suggesting that rather than just outright denying it and making him refile, best bet would be authorized signature subject to receipt of the corrected Mylar.
Okay, do I have a motion?
I would feel more comfortable tabling it. Anyone have any thought, any other board members have thoughts on that?
I'm kind of leaning the same way. Or approving it contingent upon. This way it's active till the next meeting. And then if we're not happy with the contingency being corrected, then we can take it up at the next meeting. But this way it keeps it, it maintains it, like Bill says, it still stays active instead of putting it off 30 days.
So I'm not sure I follow. If we just table it and we don't meet within the time period, it's just going to be automatically approved without your signature. And that's.
It's an A&R, yeah, it's an A&R anyway.
I'm sorry?
It's an A&R anyway, so it's our approval is not required. 21 days it'll go anyway.
Well, I suppose all of these that come in, we could just do nothing and they'd all be approved. But there will be some that we won't want to approve because we'll see there's not adequate frontage or some situations with where the access is illusory and not appropriate. So there are, that's why we do have to hear these things. But I just don't want you to run into a situation where this one's automatically approved. So rather than table it, I'd rather you deny it and then make them refile.
Can't we approve it contingent upon the submittal of the correct easements?
Yes, that's my recommendation.
Right. I mean, that's been done before. If the correct easements aren't submitted, then it's not, then the approval is null and void anyway.
Right. So that would be I'm sorry. That would be my recommendation as a motion to direct the chair to endorse it subject to the receipt of the corrected Mylar showing the easements.
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
That we approve it, says subject to receiving the correct easements.
A second.
I will have a roll call on that. Mario Luciola,
Yes,
Beth Andres,
Yes.
Gloria Pacheco,
Yes,
John Ferrera,
Yes.
I'm Cynthia Savigny, I vote yes. Okay, item C, file number 21-1503. Owner applicant, 168 Stevens Street LLC. Property location is at 168 Stevens Street. Assessors map E27, lot 6. Bill?
Okay, just getting out my plan here.
Is
Yeah, what they're doing here is they've got a large piece of land that has frontage on Omaha Street, as it turns out. The proposal is to chop off a piece of it which would not have any frontage, and it would not be a buildable lot. And that's what the notation on the plan would say. Not separately to be a buildable lot, but it's to be combined with another parcel adjacent to it, which would have adequate frontage and then would be buildable. So it appears that they satisfy the conditions, and the endorsement should be, I would recommend the endorsement be made that approval under the subdivision control law is not required. Wish these plans weren't so big. Yeah,
Bill, this,
they're basically peeling off a part of it and combining it with the adjacent lot.
Bill, on this map, the 168 Stevens Street, the two lots, there are two lots, they're separating the two lots?
It's what, right now, there's one big assessor's lot, and they're gonna chop off a piece of it, which on its own would not be buildable because it has no frontage, but they're gonna add it
Right.
to an adjoining lot which does have frontage.
Okay, any questions from the board? Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the file 21-1502. And I couldn't hear the others. And on the map, F25, lot 26.
I believe we're on file number 21-1503.
Right,
Or the 1503. I apologize.
Yes,
Okay,
okay.
Well-
And that would be assessors map E27, lot 6. And I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
We'll do roll call. Mario Luciola,
yes,
Elizabeth Andre,
Yes.
Gloria Pacheco,
Yes.
John Ferrera.
Yes,
I'm Cynthia Savigny, I vote yes. We're on item number D. File number 21-1504. Owner applicant is Manuel and Maria Maderas. Property location at 274-281 Blackstone Street. Assessors map I-14, lot 07. 14.
okay, if you, folks, if you look at that plan, just about right in the middle of it, you see parcel 1 and parcel 2. Today, that's all one lot. And there are structures on each. What they want to do is divide those so that each structure would be on its own separate lot. And if you look at it, parcel 1 would only have 11 feet of frontage, which is not enough. You got to have at least 20 feet. And that's why they got a special permit. The zoning board of appeals said that that was okay. The zoning board of appeals, however, also was very specific that they wanted cross easements shown on the A&R plan to show how access would be to these separate parcels and how parking would be configured. And this is a plan that Dan Aguirre put together. Our office spoke with him today, and he verified that, yes, he was in error by not showing those easements. So it's similar to the one that we talked about a minute ago. From the point of endorsement, for A&R purposes, it meets the standards and it should be endorsed, but I would prefer that you direct the chair to endorse the plan, subject to the receipt of a corrected Mylar showing the easements on there, because that's what the zoning board of appeals required.
Bill, where it shows only 11 feet,
You see the,
is that the,
go ahead.
is that the entrance to parcel 1?
Well, that's part of the issue. The easements have to show how they're gonna treat that entryway. And I don't have the easement plan in front of me, but it's gonna be, I think, they're going to provide for a driveway of some kind that would be bigger than the 11 feet. But for A&R purposes, since they were given the special permit, 11 is enough. If they just came in front of you with this plan without the benefit of a special permit, they would have to have
Right.
20 feet, and they don't have that.
This is a 3-family dwelling. They're gonna have a lot of cars on 3-family dwellings. Gonna
Yeah.
need to. Any comments from board members?
Nope, not at this time.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
I'll motion. It needs to be, it needs to go back to the council, right? For approval? Oh,
No, it's been approved by the zoning board of appeals. Actually, I found the special permit in front of me. The requirement is that they provide a 20-foot wide easement for crossover parking and access. So that's what's got to be shown on the plan.
oh, okay.
So the recommendation is approve the endorsement of it as A&R, is approval under the subdivision control law, not required, but the plan that you're going to endorse is the corrected Mylar that's going to show the easement on it.
Okay. Then I motion.
I second the motion to approve the A&R contingent upon receipt of the correct easements on the new Mylar.
Okay, I'm going to have a roll call on this. I have Mario Luciola,
Yes,
Beth Andrade,
Yes.
Gloria Pacheco.
Yes.
John Ferrera.
A very hesitant yes.
Yeah,
I understand.
yeah, I'm Cynthia Savigny. I agree with that too, but.
Can we get John appointed to the zoning board? Is that,
Yeah, really.
What?
I want to stay right next to David Assad.
Okay, and now we have item E. Yes, file number 21-1505. Owner applicant William and Renee Reed. Property location is 1711 Bay Street. Assesses map A 17 lot 88.
this one's a lot easier. They have a parcel with one dwelling on it. And
Yeah.
they've received a variance from the zoning board of appeals to subdivide it into 2 parcels, leaving the existing dwelling on one lot and constructing a new dwelling on the other. It has adequate frontage on a public way, And I recommend that the chair endorse this approval under the subdivision control law not required.
Make a motion to approve file number 21-1505.
Second,
I'll have a roll call. Mario Luciola,
Yes,
Beth Andre,
Yes.
Gloria Pacheco,
Yes,
John Ferreira.
yes.
I'm Cynthia Savigny. I vote yes. And we have file number 21-1506, owner applicant Easy, EASY, Easy Street Properties LLC. Property location 2641, 2645, 2651 South Main Street. Assessors map B01 lot 19.
Okay, this is also a case in which the zoning board of appeals has given some relief from the zoning ordinance by giving a special permit. You'll see on the plan right in the middle, parcel 1 and parcel 2. Today, that's all one parcel. They've been given permission to divide it into 2 parcels, parcel 1 and parcel 2. And this is one of these situations where the buildings existed before the subdivision control law came into effect. So the law provides for division of the properties so that they would be on their own separate lots. So there's some question whether you even need to get a variance or special permit to do it. But they've got it. And the zoning board said, when you do this, we want to see some easements on here so that we know that people are going to have access for parking and so forth. And the plan, unlike a couple of others that we saw tonight, this plan actually shows the easements that the zoning board required. So they've satisfied the terms of the zoning board special permit. The property's on a public way. I recommend that you endorse it, approval not required under the subdivision control law. And by the way, I think if it were a couple hundred feet farther south, you'd be in Tiverton, wouldn't you? Is last street the last
Last
street?
street is,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it was almost not your problem.
Extremely crowded on these 2 parcels. Board members, any comments? Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve not planning 21-1506. Let's see where we have property location 2641, 2645, 2651. Assessed map B01 lot 19. I know Bill says something else, but I couldn't get it all.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, we'll do roll call. Mario Luciola,
Yes,
Beth Andre,
Yes.
Gloria Pacheco,
yes.
John Ferreira.
Again, a very hesitant yes. And if they ever lift all these easements, people are gonna have to buy scooters to get home.
And I'm Cynthia Savigny and I vote yes. And we have our last one, file number 21-1507. Owner applicant is Ken Hoffman for K&M Freedom Holdings LLC. Property location 231, 237 to 239, 245 to 249 County Street. Assessors map K13 lot 4.
Folks, this is another one where you've got two buildings on one lot. The buildings existed before the subdivision control law came into effect, so they're grandfathered in, to use the expression. The line can be drawn. The only thing is they got to make sure they've got your minimum of 20 feet of frontage, and lot two, no problem. Lot number one, when you look at it really quickly, you see only 18 feet, but that's because you might not have seen that just to the left of that is another 4 feet. So they've got 18 plus 4, I think is still 22. Is that right? Even at this time of night. So they've got their frontage, and
sorry.
they're entitled to an endorsement that approval is not required under the subdivision control law. That's my recommendation.
I'm sorry, I have a question. The
Yeah.
front is 22 feet.
Yeah, they've got 18 plus 4. Am I right? That's 22. They need 20.
So why is the 18 feet gonna go with parcel 2 or parcel? or lot
Goes
one?
with parcel 1. The 18
One.
and the 4 is all part of parcel 1.
Why is the 4 split out? I don't understand.
It's an easement area. It's just to show the width of an easement area that they're creating.
But who's gonna use it besides lot 1?
Presumably, anybody who wants to walk back there, it's a pedestrian sort of easement that gets you,
Okay,
the building that fronts on County is a 12-unit mixed use. So that's going to provide some access to the rear of that building and also to the existing 3-family.
I get it. All right, thank you.
Any other questions? Do I have a motion? Do I have a motion? We're getting tired. Okay.
Mario, did you say
We're getting
something?
tired of looking at these.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I
That's the last one.
apologize. I
We're all
apologize
done.
tonight.
We're
No,
all
I
done.
apologize
Last
tonight, to all of you, because I can't hear all of them. Would you Bill, repeat what the motion is supposed to be on this?
But my recommendation is that you direct the chair to endorse this plan, approval not required under the subdivision control law.
Okay, I make a motion to approve that I couldn't hear it all. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Whatever the emotion is, I want to approve it.
Yeah,
ahead.
it's to endorse it, approval not required.
To endorse it, the approval is not required.
Right, right.
Make a
Okay,
motion to-
do-
A second. motion.
Second. We'll do a roll call. Mario Luciola? Yes? Mario? Oh, doing a roll call, Mario.
Oh, yes, yes,
Okay.
yes.
Beth Andre.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, Gloria Pacheco,
Yes,
John Ferrera.
Yes. And Gloria, the 4 feet is for the scooter.
You need a bucket of ice cream, John.
Yes. Okay, we're all through with those. Now we have approval of the minutes of our May 12th, 2021 meeting. Do I have a motion?
I'm going to abstain. I did not attend the meeting.
make a motion to approve the minutes of May 12th, 2021 meeting.
I'll second that.
Okay, we will do a roll call. Mario Luciola,
Yes,
Beth Andre,
Yes.
Gloria Pacheco.
Yes,
John has abstained. I'm Cynthia Savigny. I vote yes. And the last item is citizens input. I do not believe we have any citizens input tonight. Motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
And it is 7 o'clock. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Oh,
Okay, we'll do a roll call. Mario Luciola,
Yes,
Beth Andrade. Gloria Pacheco,
Yes.
John Ferrera.
Yes.
I'm Cynthia Savigny. I vote yes. That's the end of this meeting.